Right boys, today I'll be showing you guys how to build this neat looking Japanese castle that not only looks great but also has defensive merit. Here are the advantages to my design. Number 1. Uses a highly renewable resource as its main component, so this lets you build things without having to destroy the surrounding area for stones. Number 2. Does not require iron beams or poles for structural integrity. Number 3. Resistant to arrow fire without having to resort to expensive stone, as wood is resistant to pierce damage. Number 4. Resistant to tunnelers. Wood is a material that can afford to protrude without having supports underneath. So even if the enemy manages to sabotage the wards, it'd take a while before it begins to crumble. Number 5. Creatures will find it difficult to assault the fortress, as the raised earthenwork ensures even foolings with javelins pose less threat if they do attack at night. Number 6. Efficient heat source and lighting through using only one hearth plus strategically placed wards, so you can focus on raiding and looting instead of maintaining heat. Number 7. Effectively utilizing terrain and height advantage through machicolations and arrow slits. But like all things, it has its downsides. Number 1. Very high stone cost, if one wishes to add earthenwork instead of carving this on a mountain, that is. Number 2. Takes a long time to build if one is not used to terraforming in Valheim. Number 3. PC resource intensive. Raised earthenwork and ornamental roofs will make this build prohibitive for less powerful computers. With all of that in mind, here are the steps on how to build the keep of this castle. Step 1. Select this site. This seems like a simple decision, but depending on your game circumstance, this will take some time to think. If your PC is not very powerful, it narrows your choice to 2 biomes which has very little instances, like the mountain or plains. The mountain's advantage is that you can cut down time spent in terraforming and has plenty of sources of stone, but the fact that you cannot plant food and unload unteleportable items from a boat easily makes a castle built there not as useful. Plains, on the other hand, can be difficult to build in due to the presence of dangerous foolings and mosquitoes, but I argue that since one can farm late-game crops in plains and have steady resource of late-game arrows, it makes the castle a lot more sustainable in the long term. A tip on how to further lessen the load on your computer is by building things on a small island, since they have less total instances. Step 2. Decide on how big the keep will be. Now, I myself prefer a 16x16 meter foundation size keep, but honestly, you can deviate from this if you deem it to be not sufficient for your needs. Just keep in mind, the bigger you make the keep, the more wooden instances you're going to use up, so don't go overboard if you don't have the PC for it. Step 3. Prepare the foundation of the keep and the hearth in the middle. To both save on stone usage and add additional space, I made sure that only the exterior parts of the keep are directly supported by earthenwork. The rest of the support is provided by using stone walls and pillars. Step 4. Start building the walls, not forgetting the machicolations. Use this design to provide slits to shoot arrows from without compromising structural support. Don't forget to add core wood for additional support, so the structure can be higher. Step 5. Add the roofing. Using 26 and 45 degree thatched roof, you can add the gabled structure that Japanese castle roofs tend to have. Frankly, it'd be better if the game has shingled roofs as of now, but I take what I can get. Step 6. Decorate and add furniture. Like Nobunaga's Azuchi, I prefer to use the top of my keep as my character's resting place. The view from the top lets me survey the land around the castle and warn the castle's inhabitants of enemy attacks. I also like putting the staircase as close to the center as possible, as to make sure one can travel upwards faster. Additional tips and tricks. Want to learn how to hide stuff from pesky raiders? Don't worry, with this method you can easily conceal loot from even the most craftiest of thieves. Remember, the wooden beam must come into contact with surface terrain, else everything you put inside the chest will just fall off the world and disappear. You can use this method for making underground bases or even hide wards and workbenches from human raiders, but that will be for another video. You're in early game but think the cart doesn't hold enough resources. Clip 2 carts in the mast and now you can easily carry a lot more. Important tip, do not put the heavy stuff in the carts. Put lightweight ones that take up inventory space like berries and such. The heavier loads like ores and ingots should be placed in the ship's cargo hold instead. If you guys need more info on Japanese castles, try watching the Shogunate's video on it. The NHK documentary for Japanese castles are good for learning how the Japanese came up with their own types of defensive measures. Frankly, I would have loved to paint my castle akin to Kumamoto, but there is no way to paint walls in the current version of Valheim. Anyways, thanks for watching and have a great time.